Every day a new beginning is offered to you. When the sun rises, the world wakes in silence. But what do most people do? They hit the snooze button, they delay their life, they procrastinate on their potential, but the path of the martial artist is not built on comfort, it is built on conscious, early action. Wake up before the world does. This is not about being better than others. It is about mastering yourself. When you wake early, you are no longer a slave to time, you become the master of it. The silence of the early morning, that is your dojo. Before the world demands your attention, claim your stillness. Meditate, breathe, move. Give your body the signal that you are in command. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. Do not wait for motivation to appear. Build your rituals. The Shaolin monks wake before sunrise, not because it is easy, but because it cultivates the spirit. And that spirit is what carries them when the mind is tired. Every morning you are training your willpower. Either you strengthen it by getting up, or you weaken it by postponing your rise. You want clarity. You want purpose. You must first create space. Early morning is the time to clear your internal fog. With stillness and movement combined, your direction becomes visible. How you begin is how you continue. A chaotic start leads to a chaotic day, but a mindful start creates a mindful life. Do not let your first act of the day be scrolling a screen. Instead, offer yourself presence. Train your body. Read something sacred. Reflect on who you are becoming. Every single day is a vote for your future self. You don't need 5 hours, you need 25 intentional minutes. You don't need perfection, you need presence. Motivation fades, but mastery is built through rhythm. So build rhythm. Wake up early, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. That's the test. The body will resist, the mind will argue. But your inner warrior knows. Discipline wins battles. The mind cannot even comprehend. You are not here to float through life. You are here to move, to breathe, to live awake. So rise. Rise before the sun. Greet the silence like an old friend. And begin your day not with noise but with intent. Every sunrise is a silent invitation to greatness. Will you accept it? Remember, you cannot control the day ahead, but you can control how you enter it. Wake up with the strength of a monk, the focus of a warrior, and the peace of a sage. And over time, those minutes will shape a life of meaning. In today's world, many people have lost command over their lives. They wake up not by intention but by reaction, pulled from sleep by blaring alarms, immediately checking their phones, consumed by messages, distractions, and demands. From the very first moment, their energy is no longer their own. But there is an alternative path, one rooted in ancient wisdom and personal mastery. That path begins before the sun rises. The early morning is not merely a time, it is a sacred window, an invitation to regain authority over your body, your mind, and your spirit. Waking up early is the first act of self-discipline. It is the first challenge you meet, and when accepted, it becomes the first victory of the day. And this victory is not external, it is internal command. The reason so many fail to live with clarity or purpose is not due to lack of talent or opportunity. It is because they have not trained themselves to govern their energy. Mastery, especially self-mastery, begins in the earliest hours of the day, before the noise begins. Before others enter your consciousness, there is only you, your breath, your thoughts, your choices. In this silence, a different kind of strength can be cultivated. Not the loud, external strength of domination, but the quiet strength of presence. When you wake up before the world, there is no audience, no reward, no applause. That is the test. Can you rise even when no one is watching? Can you choose discipline when no one is holding you accountable but yourself? This is where true command is born. Many people confuse freedom with comfort, but in reality, true freedom comes from discipline. A person who cannot command themselves to wake up on time is not free. They are at the mercy of their own laziness, their own excuses, their own untrained impulses. The martial path teaches us this clearly. The body follows the mind and the mind follows the will. If your will is weak, your body will dominate your decisions. But if your will is strong, your body becomes your servant, not your master. Waking up early is the training ground where this principle is forged. It is where you teach the body that it will obey the higher voice within. It is where you begin to build a relationship with discomfort, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Each morning you re-establish this hierarchy, spirit above mind, mind above body. When you wake early, intentionally and consistently, you do more than just gain time, you gain access. Access to clarity, to quiet, and to alignment. This access is blocked when you wake in a hurry, when your day begins in haste or anxiety. The difference between someone who reacts to the morning and someone who commands it is the difference between a drifting leaf and a steady tree. One is blown by every wind, the other is rooted. The person who rises with purpose is not a victim of their day, they are the architect of it. This daily act, repeated over weeks, months, years, becomes the foundation of a focused life. You begin to see how everything is connected, how the strength to rise early empowers the strength to remain calm in conflict, to resist temptations, to follow through on promises. It is not about the morning alone, it is about shaping who you are becoming in every hour that follows. Modern culture often glorifies motivation, placing it on a pedestal as the spark that ignites all greatness. We are taught to wait for inspiration, to act when we feel ready, and to move only when desire arises. But this approach is flawed. It is unstable. Motivation is like the wind, shifting, unpredictable, temporary. Some mornings it blows strong, and you feel energized. Other mornings it is nowhere to be found, and your body resists. If you rely solely on motivation to guide your actions, your progress will be inconsistent, your path unclear. The Shaolin teaching is different. We are not taught to depend on feelings. We are taught to cultivate discipline, because discipline is the structure that carries you through the days when motivation has abandoned you. Discipline is the silent force that does not ask, "Do I feel like it today?" Instead, it declares, "I do it because I said I would." It is the honoring of commitment, not the chasing of comfort. And this is a very important distinction. Motivation comes from the outside, videos, words, music, emotions. But discipline is born within. It is the result of deliberate training and consistent effort. In the martial path, this is the essence of every movement, every breath, every ritual. We do not train when we feel inspired. We train because the training must be done. It becomes part of who we are, not something we occasionally perform. Likewise, waking up early, practicing your morning routine, and beginning your day with intention. These things must be shaped by discipline, not mood. When a student begins training at the monastery, they are often filled with excitement. They move fast, ask many questions, push themselves to impress, but within weeks, their enthusiasm fades. The early mornings become harder, the repetition more tedious. This is where most falter, when the novelty disappears and the routine remains. But this phase is crucial. It separates those who are driven by emotion from those who are rooted in principle. Discipline is forged in the repetition, in doing the right thing even when the mind grows bored or resistant. True transformation happens in those moments where you do not feel like showing up, but you show up anyway. Every time you do this, you break the chains of emotional dependency and build the muscles of consistency. Think of a tree. A tree does not ask, "Should I grow today?" It simply grows. It obeys the rhythm of nature, not mood, not whim, but alignment. In the same way, we must obey the rhythm we create through discipline. Wake up at the same time. Move your body. Sit in silence. Practice gratitude. These are not chores. They are rituals that strengthen your spirit. You will not always feel motivated to do them, but it is precisely in the absence of motivation that discipline shows its power. It reminds you that your purpose is greater than your feelings. And over time something profound happens. The disciplined actions, once difficult, become natural. The resistance weakens. The actions become identity. You are no longer someone trying to live with intention. You are a person of intention. There is a type of silence that does not merely surround you, it transforms you. This silence is not the absence of sound, but the absence of distraction. It is the space where clarity returns, where the noise of the outer world no longer competes with the whispers of your inner wisdom. This is why the early morning is sacred. Before the demands of the day rise, before the obligations and conversations begin, there is a narrow window of stillness, a space unclaimed by chaos. That silence is a doorway into presence, a doorway into your deeper self, but very few walk through it. They sleep through it, they rush past it, they ignore it, and in doing so they miss the most valuable time the day has to offer. The monks in the Shaolin temple wake before the sun, not to impress anyone, not to increase productivity, but to return to themselves. In those early hours we move slowly, breathe intentionally, and listen, not just with our ears, but with our entire being. The body, mind, and spirit are still fragile when the day begins. They are fresh, untouched by the storms that may come. To enter that space with awareness is like placing a seed into the soil while the earth is still damp and rich. It is the most fertile ground for intention, for peace, and for wisdom. In the silence of morning, the world is not pushing you, it is inviting you, but you must choose to accept that invitation by being awake, truly awake. The modern world is full of speed and stimulation. From the moment most people rise, their senses are flooded. News, notifications, noise. The silence is quickly drowned, and with it, their sense of peace. They do not realize that this noise becomes their baseline. It shapes their thinking, alters their emotions, and pulls them away from what truly matters. But those who choose silence, especially at the start of the day, develop a different kind of power. It is not loud or aggressive. It is subtle, but profound. It is the power to observe without reacting, to see clearly without judgment, to move without rushing. In silence, you learn to hear the voice within you, the one that is often buried beneath all the external chatter. That voice is not always loud, but it is always wise. To embrace the sacredness of morning silence is to reclaim your life from the patterns of unconscious living. It is to recognize that peace is not found in the external world, but cultivated in moments of inward stillness. This is why ancient traditions always honored the early hours for prayer, meditation, movement, and reflection. It was never about productivity, it was about alignment. You are not separate from nature, and the rhythms of nature favor quiet beginnings. The birds do not scream when they rise. The sun does not rush into the sky. Everything begins slowly, intentionally, gracefully. So should you. Let the first hour of your day belong to silence. Let it cleanse your mind, reset your nervous system, and ground you in who you truly are, not who the world tells you to be. When you treat the silence of morning as sacred, your entire day carries that sacredness forward. The first moments of your day are the most delicate and most powerful. Like the first stroke on a blank canvas, they determine the tone, the direction, and the energy that will follow. Yet in the modern world, many people allow those moments to be hijacked. Instead of meeting the day with clarity, they meet it with chaos. The phone is checked before the eyes are fully open. Social media is consumed before breathwork or stillness. News, messages, updates, these flood the mind before it has even had a chance to breathe. And so the day begins, not with ownership, but with reaction, not with presence, but with distraction. And the result is predictable: anxiety, restlessness, and a sense of always being behind. But the alternative is simple, though not always easy. Begin with intention. That means choosing, with awareness, how you will spend the first few minutes of your consciousness each morning. This choice, though small, is a declaration of personal power. It is saying I choose to start with myself, not with the world's demands. The Shaolin path teaches us to cultivate awareness in every action, especially the small ones, because those shape the spirit the most. When you open your eyes, pause. Do not reach for anything external. Instead, reach inward. Observe your breath. Give thanks for being alive. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the silence of the room. Then move slowly into your morning rituals. Stretching, tea preparation, meditation, journaling. These are not merely habits, they are acts of alignment. The difference between distraction and intention lies in who decides where your attention goes. Distraction happens when your attention is pulled. Intention happens when your attention is placed. Distraction scatters your mind, intention gathers it. When your day begins with intention, everything that follows feels more grounded. You respond instead of react. You notice things you would otherwise miss. The breeze through the window, the warmth of water, the tone of someone's voice. You begin to see that life is not rushing past you, you are walking with it. This shift from automatic behavior to conscious engagement is a powerful step toward inner mastery. It teaches the mind to follow you, instead of allowing you to be dragged by impulses. Furthermore, beginning the day with intention reshapes your identity. Each time you choose mindfulness over mindlessness, you are telling yourself, I am someone who lives awake. And the more you repeat this, the truer it becomes. You no longer need to fight distraction with force, because you are already rooted in presence. The phone, the notifications, the pressure to jump into busyness, they lose their grip. Why? Because your spirit has already claimed the most important ground, the beginning. When the start is solid, the rest of the day flows from that place. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges. It means you'll meet those challenges with a mind that is still not scattered, with energy that is focused, not fragmented, and that difference changes everything. It is easy to overlook small actions. In a world obsessed with big wins and visible achievements, we are conditioned to believe that transformation only comes through dramatic change, overnight success, grand gestures, breakthroughs, but this belief is misleading. In the teachings of self-mastery, it is not the large, occasional act that determines who you become. It is the small, repeated behaviors performed every single day. These actions may seem insignificant in isolation, but when practiced with consistency and presence, they become the foundation of a powerful inner structure. Just as drops of water can hollow out stone over time, so too can your quiet, steady habits shape your destiny. The transformation of life begins not in a moment of glory, but in moments of devotion to what matters. When you choose to rise early, to sit for 5 minutes in silence, to stretch your body, to write a single line of reflection, you are laying a brick. That brick may feel light, it may feel forgettable, but if you lay it again tomorrow, and again the next day, you begin to build a wall, and that wall becomes a foundation. The path of mastery is not paved with speed, it is paved with rhythm. The rhythm of showing up, the rhythm of small acts done with great attention. Monks in the temple do not meditate for hours on the first day. They begin with minutes, and over time the minutes stretch, deepen and expand. Not because they chase more, but because the consistency strengthens their ability to hold more. In the same way, your small morning rituals, when honored and repeated, become a gateway to expanded capacity, physically, mentally, and spiritually. The reason small acts are so powerful is because they bypass resistance. The mind often resists large commitments. It says, I don't have time for an hour of meditation, or I can't maintain this strict routine forever, and so the person does nothing at all. But small acts remove that resistance. They are easy to begin, and beginning is the most difficult step. A short walk at sunrise, a cold splash of water on the face, a simple breath count, these are accessible actions, yet they carry deep symbolic power. They communicate something essential to your subconscious. I am choosing presence. I am choosing growth. I am choosing to care for this moment. These small gestures, repeated with sincerity, create a psychological momentum that eventually becomes spiritual momentum. And that is when the transformation truly begins. You start to see that the life you want does not require a new location, a new job, or a new identity. It requires a new level of integrity in the way you handle small moments. You begin to take care of things more intentionally. Your food, your sleep, your words, your posture, your breath. Each small act becomes a reflection of who you are becoming. And over time, without trying to impress anyone or chase anything, you become the person you once struggled to imagine. Not because of a sudden leap, but because of consistent steps. You do not climb a mountain in one motion, you climb it one step at a time. And each step, no matter how small, is sacred, because it brings you closer to alignment. The life you want is not waiting for you at the finish line. It is being built in every quiet, disciplined act you choose to repeat. The world will continue to spin, the noise will continue to grow, but within you there is always a choice. A choice to begin not with reaction but with rhythm, not with chaos but with calm. And every time you choose to rise before the world does, every time you choose presence over distraction, you are no longer simply living, you are training. You are training the mind to be steady. You are training the spirit to lead. And you are training the body to obey a higher purpose. Let others chase motivation. Let others wait for perfect conditions. But you begin. Begin in the silence. Begin in the discomfort. Begin even when your mind resists. Because this beginning repeated daily becomes your foundation, your temple, your inner fortress. Remember, you do not need to change your entire life overnight. You only need to win your morning. One breath, one ritual, one intentional act at a time. And from those humble beginnings, a powerful life will rise, just like the sun.